It's a quiet afternoon in rural Georgia. Muhammad Ali is in the back seat of a black Cadillac heading back from a training camp. The windows are down. The radio hums softly. Then, flashing lights. Up ahead, along the side of the road, three police cars are parked at sharp angles. Red and blue lights slice through the heat. A group of black teenagers, 5 of them, are lined up against a chain-link fence. Hands on the metal, heads down. Ali's driver tenses. He doesn't slow down. "Champ, we shouldn't stop." Ali leans forward, his eyes lock on the scene. One of the boys looks no older than 16. "Pull over," Ali says. The driver hesitates. "Pull over." The car rolls to a stop, and everything is about to change. This is 1976. Ali has just reclaimed his heavyweight title for the 3rd time. He's the most famous athlete on the planet. His face is on magazine covers. His words move nations. But fame doesn't make you bulletproof, especially not here. This town doesn't have a name most people would recognize. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where outsiders aren't welcome, where the law is whatever the sheriff says it is. Ali knows these towns. He grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. He's driven through hundreds of places just like this one. And he knows what happens when you're young, black, and in the wrong place at the wrong time. His team is nervous. His trainer is back at the gym. It's just Ali, his driver, and a journalist riding along for a profile piece. The journalist later described the air as thick. Ali steps out of the car. The gravel crunches under his shoes, and the world goes silent. The sheriff is a tall man, weathered face, mirrored sunglasses, hand resting on his belt. He turns when he hears the car door. His eyes narrow. Then he recognizes the face. "That's Muhammad Ali," someone whispers from across the street. People start coming out of shops. A woman stops sweeping her porch. A mechanic wipes his hands and steps into the sun. The sheriff doesn't move. Ali walks slowly toward him, hands visible, posture relaxed. "Afternoon, officer." The sheriff nods, his jaw tight. "Afternoon." There's a pause. The teenagers are frozen. One of them glances back, just for a second, and you can see the fear in his eyes. Ali gestures toward them. "What's going on here?" The sheriff's voice is calm, too calm. "Police business. Nothing that concerns you, Mr. Ali." Ali doesn't argue. He just stands there, watching. The deputies shift their weight. One of them touches his radio. The journalist in the car is scribbling notes, hands shaking. The sheriff takes a step closer. "I respect what you do in the ring, but this here? This is my town." Ali nods slowly. "I understand that." He pauses. "Mind if I ask what they did?" The sheriff looks at him for a long moment. "Loitering. Suspicious behavior." Ali glances at the boys. They're wearing sneakers and t-shirts. One of them has a basketball tucked under his arm. "They look like kids to me." The sheriff's mouth twitches. Not quite a smile, not quite a threat. "That's your opinion." Ali doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't flex. He doesn't use his fame like a weapon. He just asks questions. "How long they been here?" "About 20 minutes. "They give you any trouble?" "Not yet." "They armed?" The sheriff hesitates. "No." Ali nods again. He looks at the boys, then back at the sheriff. "So they're just kids, standing on a street corner." The sheriff's shoulders stiffen. "Listen, I don't need you coming into my town telling me how to do my job." Ali raises his hands, palms out. "I'm not telling you anything, sir. Just trying to understand." The crowd is growing now. 20 people, 30, watching from doorways and car windows. This moment, right here, is where most confrontations explode. But Ali doesn't push. He just waits. The sheriff looks around. He feels the eyes on him. One of the deputies steps forward. "Sheriff, we should move this along." The journalist in the car later said the tension was unbearable. Ali's driver is gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles are white. The sheriff takes off his sunglasses. He looks directly at Ali. "You're a smart man, Mr. Ali. So I'm going to be straight with you. You need to get back in your car and leave." Ali doesn't move. "What if I don't?" The words hang in the air. The deputy's hand moves toward his belt. Not aggressive, just ready. The journalist holds his breath. The sheriff leans in, voice low. then this becomes a different kind of situation. Ali looks at him, not with anger, not with defiance, with sadness. I've been in different kinds of situations before. He lets that sit. Then he does something unexpected. He tells a story. When I was 12 years old, Ali begins, someone stole my bicycle. The sheriff blinks, confused. I went to a police officer, told him what happened, asked for help. Ali's voice is steady, clear. He looked at me the way you're looking at these boys right now. One of the teenagers lifts his head slightly, listening. He didn't take a report, didn't ask questions, just told me to go home. The crowd is silent. I was angry. I wanted to fight him, wanted to scream, but I didn't. Ali pauses. You know why? The sheriff doesn't answer. Because my father told me something. He said, son, dignity is the one thing they can't take from you, not unless you give it away. Tell us where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. Let's see how far this story reaches. Ali looks at the boys again. These kids, they got dignity. They got futures. They got families waiting for them. He turns back to the sheriff. And I'm not leaving until I know they're safe. Something changes. A woman on the sidewalk whispers to her husband. An older man in overalls shakes his head slowly. One of the shop owners, a white man in his 60s, steps off his porch. Sheriff, he calls out. Everyone turns. Those boys didn't do nothing. I saw them. They were just walking. The sheriff's face hardens, but another voice joins in. He's right. They've been here all afternoon. No trouble. The deputies look at each other. The power is shifting. The sheriff realizes it. He looks at Ali, then at the crowd, then at the boys. He's trapped, not by force, but by witness, by presence. Ali takes one step forward, not threatening, just clear. Sheriff, I'm asking you, respectfully, to let these young men go. The sheriff's jaw clenches. And if I don't? Ali's voice is soft. Then I'll stand here with them until you do. The journalist later wrote, it wasn't a challenge, it was a promise. The crowd murmurs. The sheriff looks at his deputies. At the boys, at Ali. He's been a lawman for 23 years. He's never backed down, but he's also never had Muhammad Ali standing in his town square, asking him to be better. The sheriff exhales, long, slow. He takes off his hat, wipes his forehead. You know what the problem is? He says quietly. Ali waits. The problem is, this is how it's always been. His voice cracks just slightly. I don't know how to do it different. It's not an excuse. It's a confession. Ali nods. Then let today be different. The silence stretches. Then, the sheriff turns to his deputies. Take the cuffs off. One of the deputies hesitates. Sheriff, take them off. The metallic click of handcuffs opening echoes across the street. The boys stand there stunned. The youngest one rubs his wrists. His hands are shaking. The sheriff steps back. You're free to go. They don't move at first, like they don't believe it. Ali walks over. He puts his hand on the shoulder of the boy with the basketball. You okay? The boy nods. His eyes are wet. Yes, sir. Then go home. The boys walk away slowly, then faster. Then they're running. The crowd watches them disappear around the corner. Nobody claps. Nobody cheers. But something sacred just happened. Years later, a reporter tracked down those 5 teenagers. 3 of them graduated college. One became a teacher. Another opened a barbershop 2 towns over. They all remembered that day. One of them said, Ali didn't save us. He reminded them we were human. The sheriff? He never spoke publicly about what happened, but people in town noticed changes. Fewer arrests, more conversations. It wasn't perfect, but it was different. And in 1984, 8 years later, Ali came back through that same town. The sheriff was retired by then, but he was sitting on a bench outside the diner when Ali's car rolled past. Their eyes met. The sheriff nodded. Ali nodded back. And that was enough. Muhammad Ali fought in the ring for 21 years. He won titles. He lost titles. He took punches that would have ended other men. But the fight that mattered most? It happened on a dusty road in Georgia. No cameras, no announcers, no belt. Just a man who believed that courage isn't about how hard you hit. It's about how long you're willing to stand. Sometimes the greatest victories happen when nobody's keeping score. If this story moved you, share it. The world needs more people willing to stop the car.